All right, welcome back to the Conviction Fiction, where we break down barriers, challenge stereotypes, and give real, practical advice for starting over after incarceration. I am your host, Antoine Rivers, and this episode is part of our Starting Over series, where we walk you through the key steps for reentry, rebuilding, and reclaiming your life. Now, today, we're going to talk about something crucial, and that's getting your documents in order. Okay, getting that paperwork, get it now. Getting that paperwork together. Um, Now I get it. You come home, and the first thing folks tell you is you need ID, but nobody explains how to get it when you have nothing in your hand. No birth certificate, no social security card, no photo ID. And if your documents were lost and stolen, that process can feel like a maze with no map. But today, I'm giving you that map. Let's get into the conviction fiction. All right, let's start this journey step by step. Let's talk about why this even matters. These documents, why do they matter? Why do you need your ID? Why do you need your social security card, birth certificate, or whatever? They're not just paperwork, they're power. They unlock everything: a job, housing, school, opening a bank account, even getting medical care. Just being able to walk into certain buildings, you need some type of paperwork. These pieces of paper say to the world, I am who I say I am. Now, I know the system can make you feel like your past disqualifies you from moving forward, but let me be real with you. Having your documents is the first signal that you mean business, that you're serious about taking back control of your life. I'm going to remind you to stay grounded, right? I've seen people get out and they're just really discouraged, just trying to get a simple ID that they can walk away and don't come back. All right. But sometimes that process is going to the same office two or three times, right? Don't let the system frustrate you out of your future. Remember this: every trip you make to that office, every form you fill out, every piece of paper, or many times that you go online, or you get stuff in the mail, that's proof that you're moving. You're not stuck, you're stacking progress. All right, let's talk about the state ID or driver's license if that's what you need. This is usually the first document you're going to try to get when you get out. But most states require that you already have a birth certificate and a social security card just to get a state ID or driver's license. So let me show you how to prep, how to get ready for this. First thing you're going to need in order to get a state ID or a driver's license is a proof of identity. That means like a birth certificate, your DOC discharge papers, or some old ID. You're going to need proof of social security. That means a social security card or an official SSA letter. You're also going to need proof of residency. That means some type of mail with your name, reentry housing letter, or maybe some shelter documentation. Now, this is what you need to do. Okay. First, you're going to visit your state Department of Motor Vehicles or go to the Secretary of State website to look up exact ID requirements. They usually list alternative forms of ID that they'll accept if you don't have, say, your social security card or some type of residency letter. Okay. If you were recently released, you could try using your prison ID or your discharge paperwork. Some offices will accept that for up to 90 days after your release. Now, if you're in a program or shelter, ask them for a residency letter. That can help meet the address requirement. Now, here's a tip that I had, because I didn't even know this. Some states offer free or reduced cost IDs to those returning citizens like us. You want to ask about any reentry waivers or fee assistance if you can't even pay for the ID. Now you're gonna have to remain grounded because this is one of those steps where you might get hit with attitude from the clerk or be told you don't have enough paperwork. You want to keep it cool. Okay. Stay cool. Walk in expecting that you might not walk out with everything that you need. Especially if you're talking about getting a driver's license. If you're talking about getting a driver's license, then you're going to take a test, right? You're going to take a written test. And if you've been gone for a while, laws have changed when it comes to driving on the street. I can remember the first thing that I saw was like those pedestrian walks. They like red lights for pedestrians, but they're not the typical red light. Someone that's trying to cross the street, they can hit a button and actually control the flow of traffic. They can stop the flow of traffic by pressing the little button. And I didn't even know that. I saw it yellow. I didn't see anybody. I kind of went through it, and somebody that was riding with me was like, "You're supposed to stop on those pedestrian lights." I didn't know that. Like 20, 30 years ago, they didn't have that. So you want to walk in expecting that you might not walk out with everything you need. I've known people that had to take the test twice for the written test. That's okay. Your job, your job is to gather intel. You can ask, what do I need to bring the next time? Write it down and then be sure you have that the next time. Each visit builds your next move. And when you have to get that ID in your hand, you need to take a breath. That right there is a breakthrough. When you finally get that ID in your hand, take a deep breath and understand that this is a breakthrough. Okay? Because you're going to need all of this documentation later in your thing. Now, let's talk about the worst case scenario. You don't have a single document. You don't have a birth certificate. You don't have a social security card. You don't have any ID. This can feel like being stuck in a loop, right? But there's a way through it. Okay. There's a way through it. Step one is to get your birth certificate. You can go to the Vital Records office in the state that you were born. And you can also request it online or, in person if you're there. But you'll normally need at least your full name, your date of birth, maybe your parents' names. And if you don't have ID, ask if they'll accept a notarized affidavit or if they will accept a letter from your parole officer or the reentry program that you're dealing with. Step two, you're going to use that to apply for your social security card. Once you get that birth certificate, you're going to use that to go apply for your social security card. Now, this part can feel the most overwhelming because it often takes time. You might be dealing with mail delays, unhelpful staff, or unclear rules. So I want you to treat this like a project, one form a day, just one form a day, one phone call a day. And when it feels like it's too much, pause, breathe, but don't quit. Take a walk, call somebody, listen to some music, then get right back to it. Because once you have that birth certificate, you've broken the cycle. Once you have your birth certificate and your social security card, because you're going to need this to work, open a bank account, get housing, and all that other stuff. So here's how to do it. That's why this podcast is very important. If you need to get your social security card, first thing you wanted to go is to download form SS5 from www.ssa.gov. Go and get that. Fill it out. Take it to your local social security office, and then try to bring that proof of identity with you. Try to bring proof of identity with you, like that birth certificate, maybe your DOC release papers, or if you were lucky enough to get some type of state ID. If you don't have the ID yet, some social security offices accept the DOC paperwork or program letters. I know I had my release papers. They were able to accept my release papers as proof of who I was, right? Had the little, the prison ID. It had my name on it. It was an official, government document. It was an official government ID. It's on a different side of the government. The key is to bring anything that you have. Let them tell you what they need next. Now, the SSA, Social Security offices are known for long wait times, Sometimes the staff is overworked, and they can be you downright rude. So prepare for that, right? First thing you want to do is show up early, bring some water, and bring your patience. If someone talks down to you, don't take the bait. You're not there for them. You're there for you. You got to remind yourself that I'm here to build my future, and I will not be shaken. Right? That's the most important thing to do, is to not get shook. Now, once you got your ID card and your social security card, now you're in a much stronger position. There are still other documents that can help. Of course, you need your discharge or parole papers. If you're between the ages of 18 and 25, you might have to do selective service. Okay. Medical records. And this is something that a lot of returning citizens don't realize, is that if you've been gone a long time, right, your medical conditions may have changed. Of course, if you were locked up at say 18, 19, 20 years old, now you're 42, right? What about those medical records that they may have um, at your prison, right? Or at the prison or the DLC or wherever? You need a copy of those medical records, right? They do physicals every year. You may have started medication while you were in there. Having those medical records is very important for healthcare access. Okay. You also need proof of address. You know, you need to keep uh, some mail or uh, shelter letters that you might have, just resident confirmations to let people know, like, this is who I am, and this is where I stay. These might not be required to apply for jobs, but they make everything else easier when you're trying to verify who you are or prove your transition efforts. You want to stay grounded. I keep saying that because you have to keep all of your paperwork in one place. A folder, a binder, a Ziploc bag, whatever works, right? Every document you get is a brick in the foundation of your future. So stay proud of every piece of documentation that you collect, because it's like a race. I can remember when I first got home, I had to find everything, bro, and it was like not the easiest. I know it can sound frustrating, but remember, losing your documents doesn't mean you lost your progress. You already know the steps. This time it'll go faster. You know what to do. You can also try keeping backup copies if you can. A lot of stuff you can be stored in the phone. And more importantly, keep pushing. You didn't come this far to stop now. Okay. Now, every document that you get is a win. Every office visit is momentum. You're not invisible. You're claiming your place in this world. So take time, take your time, ask for help, and don't give up. Now, that's it for this episode of the Conviction Fiction. Follow our Starting Over series for more tips on how to rebuild, restart, and thrive after incarceration. Make sure you follow and subscribe to the podcast on Spotify, Apple, or wherever you listen. You can watch the full episodes and extras on YouTube. And be sure to follow us on Instagram at Conviction Fiction for updates and real talk. Remember, you're not alone. You're not your past. You are becoming. Until next time, stay grounded, stay focused, and keep building your comeback story. Thank you.